Located at 267 West Center Street in the heart of downtown Marion, is now accepting applications from adults, students, and seniors. The Harding Center is a beautiful historic building offering one-bedroom apartments and efficiencies at affordable rental rates. All utilities are included. Basic cable and internet are available. The Harding Center is equipped with an on-site laundry facility for its residents. The property is located on the Marion City Transit bus line, and off-street parking is available. The Harding Center is managed by Starfish Building, LLC, Lois J. Fisher and Associates. For more information, contact them at hardingcenter@gmail.com or give them a call at 740-223-3288. The Harding Center, a beautiful place to live in the heart of downtown
Sargent's
Marion.
Greenscapes is a full-service lawn and landscape company located in Marion, Ohio. We specialize in making your home a beautiful place to enjoy your time. Fall is here, and that means the leaves are falling. This year, let Sarge and the troops clean up that mess for you. We have the equipment and strong backs to handle any amount of leaves you may have. So sit back, relax, and let us take care of everything. Mention that you heard about us on Scott Spears Now and receive 5% off any service. Also, ask about our senior citizen and veterans discounts. From landscaping to lawn care, mowing to leaf removal, Sarge and the troops can give you an outdoors to make your country proud. Find us on Facebook or call 740-751-5207.
This is Scott Spears, and today we're going to talk about a very important issue on the November 5th ballot. The Whetstone Levy request to replace the current 1.5 mil levy with an increase of 1 mil. The increase will cost the owner of a $100,000 property an additional $3.15 per month, and that's yearly. $3.15 per month yearly if your house appraises at $100,000. Joining us today, two people who this levy is very close to their heart, Jessica Cowles and Amanda Morris. Thank you both for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Now, first of all, before we get into the issue, let's say that if you had to describe it in layman's terms, Jessica, what is this about?
This is about more than just a levy for myself and those in Morrow County with a developmentally disabled child. It's literally the decision between, putting food on your table and providing your child with medical costs or care. I can't talk, I'm sorry.
No problem. Amanda, if you were describing it to somebody without all the political wording and everything, what would you say?
I guess the only way I can say this is this affects people, whether you think it does or not. It's affecting my family. It's not just me. There's so many people in the community that are affected, older, all the way down to infants. And we need people to realize that, to open their eyes that we're here. We didn't particularly want it to be this way, but that's how the cards played, and we need help.
Now tell me as much or as little as you want. Why does it personally involve you, your family?
I have a child who has a variety of diagnoses. Nothing, the list actually goes on and on. I do not get any sort of help for my child in any way, shape, or form. And what that means is I then have to actually make decisions that directly affect my child. For example, my child would greatly thrive on extra physical, speech, and occupational therapies outside of what he's given from school. I am not able to allow that to happen because I do not get any sort of extra help in any way, and because of my family size, and we have to, draw the line somewhere, and unfortunately, that's just not an avenue we can go towards.
Now, Jesse, what would you say, in what ways does it impact your family?
If the levy were to pass, and I guess this is the big thing for the citizens of Morrow County, if your child suddenly comes down with a developmental disability or a medical disability that causes a developmental disability, it would allow for the help that the state has put in place to be there for you and your child should that need arise. Right now in Morrow County, there's no help. When my daughter was 5, Savannah started having seizures in her sleep. Savannah is now a 9-year-old little girl, so at the age of 5, she started having seizures in her sleep, and it took about 2 months for my daughter to go from being a normal average child to the developmental level of about an 18-month-old because her seizures started happening every 4 seconds during the day. They would not debilitate her physically, but only would kind of affect the areas of her brain that dealt with speech and communication, and then her personality, her memory. So I have about an 18-month-old child and a 9-year-old child's body right now.
And I understand that's tough to say, so I want to bring it back here. What could change if this levy passes?
If the levy passes, it would allow other kids in Morrow County to receive waiver services that were brought forth in the state of Ohio, and also give responsibility at the county level to help the disabled child or disabled adult, depending on, age-wise where they fall. It would allow for them to receive medical care that goes beyond the average norm for a typical citizen. It would allow in-home health as far as a home health aide. There is an area of the waiver that would also allow for if home modification, if somebody needed a wheelchair ramp, it would allow for the wheelchair ramp to be built on their house. Safety equipment at various, it can be a lot of different things to different people, but what it does is it allows for your child or your adult that you're trying to care for the ability to stay in a home versus going into some sort of institution.
Let's say now, the way things are now, what happens if you have the developmentally disabled child and you go down to the office? What happens?
You go in and they interview you, they do an assessment, and they add your name to a waiting list.
And from what I understand, the paperwork I was given, that waiting list could be as long as 5 years, maybe longer.
5 years and longer.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced issue with the waiting list, Amanda?
Yes, without knowing 100% for sure where I'm at. My son has been on the waiver list, I'm going to say 7 to 9 years. I'm not 100% sure, but he's been on it for a very, very long time.
So now what does that mean? He qualifies for the help but doesn't get it? What exactly does that mean, being on it for that long?
It has never been directly told to me what exactly it means, him being on it that long. I just know that should his time ever come, there would be a lot of help. That would be tremendously wonderful if he should ever be able to obtain it.
How many times has this been on the ballot?
Every year for the past 25 years.
25 years, and
25
never
years.
passed.
Never passed.
Okay, I don't think people in general are cold-hearted, so why in 25 years does this not pass? Do they not understand the wording? Do they not understand what's going to happen? What's your opinion this hasn't passed in 25 years?
I think that the reason why people don't understand how important it is to pass this levy is they don't understand what all a waiver does. They don't understand what a county board of developmental disabilities does. They don't understand in our county Whetstone Industries and the services that Whetstone Industry provides. And I think there's a lot of just an unknown certainty of what it does, and if it doesn't directly affect them or people that they love and care about, it's not important.
Do you think a great deal of it is, I understand, a lot of people probably won't be directly affected by this, but that they don't know that people aren't getting help. I think that's maybe the reason they figure, well, you could go on welfare, you could do this, you could do that, there are other options, we don't want our property tax raised. Is there an option like that?
In Morrow County, I mean, your only options with a disabled child is you very quickly realize in our current state right now that you can either, one, the option that I refuse to do, and anyone that I know with a disabled child would refuse to do, is give that child up to foster care, or number two, move out of the county, number three, live below the poverty lines so your child has medical care, period. Those are your three options.
Not particularly your case, but what if the family made, if there's a family out there with a developmentally disabled child, if they made $100,000 a year, do they qualify for this? What are the expenses here?
As far as the waiver goes?
Yeah.
The first thing and the most important thing I think a waiver does, this is my personal opinion, but it financially separates the child that has the need from the parents as far as income. And that allows them to be placed on Medicaid. I don't really know too many people that can medically afford my child in particular, and a lot of other kids with medical and developmental issues. So that expense is just through the roof, and that to me was the most important thing in obtaining a waiver first, would be to financially separate my child from myself.
Amanda, I don't think, this is not necessarily something, I'm sure people under the poverty line would qualify for this, but it's also for other people as well, right? I mean, what can the expenses accumulate to be when you have a child with
My
disabilities?
child has doctor's appointments. There are co-pays. There are not only the co-pays that we must go through, then there are the follow-up appointments. There are the, what doesn't the insurance cover in the aspect, during that appointment. So then there accrues a balance. And if you are able to maintain that balance, then you may risk the potential of losing that doctor or that service that your child needs. There are medications that that people need, my son needs. There is modifications that I cannot afford to give my son. He is not only mentally challenged, but we do have some minor physical issues that we need to deal with. So there are I guess simple things that people take for granted. I have a 12-year-old son, and this is actually on one of the websites that we belong to. I can no longer take my child into a restroom. It's something that everyday people take for granted. People frown upon a 12-year-old boy almost in a female restroom, but I have a child who cannot button his pants or pull them up at times, therefore leaving himself exposed and exposing others. He also knows no stranger, would touch someone inappropriately in the restroom to get their attention. So when you look at it, it's everywhere. It's from the speech to, everybody's needs are so different. Mm-hmm.
So if this passed, how would those particular things change? Because that's a very specific issue.
If this was to pass, and I don't know this for sure, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if this was to pass and my son was to get a waiver, what I can look forward to is taking a deep breath when the doctor says, hey, I'll see you next week, and having a weight lifted off my shoulders to whether I'm really going to be able to take him and afford to take him next week. When the doctor says, hey, we got a new medication we think would help, there's no fear of how am I going to pay for it. There are things that maybe I could change in my home, maybe to be able to get my son to shower by himself at almost 12 years old, that most people do not think, typical peers do not do. I still have to shower a 12-year-old child. There may be even services where somebody may be able to come with me when we're out and about. For the restroom thing alone, I mean, and that's my needs, but the needs are there for they're so different. We could definitely get the extra speech. We could definitely get this physical and occupational therapy, which would help with the whole bathroom showering issue. I mean, he could potentially reach his maximum potential. But right now, we'll never know what the maximum potential is, because the only thing he gets is his 20 minutes a week in a school setting, where it's very hard to get really in-depth, with these issues at hand.
Being that you live in Morrow County and that's where this is going on, what if you lived in Marion County where we're taping this, or you lived in Union County or any of these other counties? What would be different?
I think the major difference is that if we lived in one of the other counties, that the waiting list would actually move, and our children, and along with everyone else that's on that waiting list, would actually get the services that they needed to ensure their health and safety. And that's the bottom line, is we have children that it takes a lot to ensure their health and safety, and that's why they're on that list, and the waiver ensures their health and safety needs are met. And until that happens, I mean, we're basically living on a really thin thread, and keeping our kids healthy and safe. And as you heard Amanda talk just a minute ago about, going to the doctor's office and all the co-pays and the different meds that go back and forth with the medical needs, being able to do what it takes to keep your kid healthy is the most important part.
What have other counties who've been able to pass issues like this, levies like this, what have they been able to express to their community that Morrow County has not been able to express to theirs in 25 years? What's the hang-up here?
I think the hang-up is public misconception about what our Board of MRDD does. Everybody's familiar with the term Whetstone Industries, and a lot of people think that, it's just, and it is an adult workshop where people that are older with developmental disabilities can be included as a working part of the community. But our County Board of DD, I don't think they're aware of what the County Board of DD does day in and day out. And I'll tell you firsthand, they're a group of wonderful people that really work hard. And to sit and hear stories like mine and Amanda's all day and try to get the families the help that they need, it's exhausting. And they're doing it with little to no resources.
Very difficult. If heaven forbid, this levy does not pass, what happens? Do things continue as they are? Do things get worse? What happens?
The state will step in and make those decisions. They could reduce services that are existing in place. Our adult workshop could close. I know that they will tighten the belt as far as waivers go. The people that are actually served with waivers, they might have a certain level of services that they get now, they might be cut back on. So you're once again jeopardizing the health and safety of people that really need it and that can't speak for themselves.
It's an interesting thing. If it does not pass, as we say, and we hope that's not the case, but if it does not pass, people, the state is not going to just let this continue on, but it'll probably be at the minimum, right? The minimum that they can do. They're just not going to continue to let people live without these helping things, will they?
I think that they will. It's been going on in Morrow County for 25 years, where you have, a waiting list building up of people going without things to meet their health and safety, and nothing's been done about it.
25 years. Now, neither one of the children we've talked about today is 25 years old. So but you guys are 25 years old. If we go back 25 years, you voted. 10, 15 years ago, did you know anything about this? Did you know that it hadn't passed at that point by 15 years? Were you aware there was a problem?
Very much aware that there was a problem. I voted in every single election since I was able to vote. And in talking with people in the community, there's a lot of misconception about what did happen 25 years ago. And what had happened was you have a big swing from the county board being responsible for the education of children with developmental disabilities back to the public school system. So it shut down kind of that part of it, and there's a lot of, well, why do we need to support this if it no longer serves that function? And then you have a new building being built on Bank Street in Mount Gilead. That's a beautiful building. And a lot of people think that for some reason there's a swimming pool in there. There's, all this like top-notch technical facility on Bank Street. And in all honesty, it's just a building. In the past few years, there's been MOESC, Mid-Ohio Preschool. Galleon YMCA has a child care facility in there. Our county board is office there. So if you actually go into the building and you see what's taken place and you hear those rumors, you're just kind of scratching your head. And then you have the political side of things. Well, the county board is not doing their job appropriately. Are they working within their budget? Well, when you really don't have any budget to work with, it's kind of hard to meet the fiscal goals as well as keeping people healthy and safe.
When we talk about this and we talk about the building that they're building, obviously you said there are other things in there. There's no swimming pool. That's not true. Who starts these rumors, do you believe? Is it people who oppose this, people who don't know what's going on, people who are just anti-government?
I think, most of those comments that are being shared with me are from the older members of our community, and they're mad hot when they talk about it, and you're just like, huh? It doesn't make much sense, and you don't want to question your elders, and you don't want to push somebody that's mad hot, so you just kind of, okay, and walk away. But I think if people were to really get down to the essentials of what a county board does do and the services that they provide and how vital they are for people with developmental disabilities, then they might change their minds.
I think you're right. I think it's very difficult. I know this is not an easy statement to make, but if somebody's watching this and heaven forbid it doesn't pass, why not just leave Morrow County?
You can't. When you have a child with developmental disabilities or a family member with developmental disabilities, you cannot leave your support system. I mean, in my particular situation with my daughter, I live with my parents. And going through what the trauma and the emotion of what we had gone through with Savannah, watching her, basically go away from what she was. I mean, in all essence, I lost my child. But she's still here, and we still fight to keep her healthy and safe and get her back and rehabilitate her to what she was. And when you only sleep for, 2 hours a day for a period of time, and everyone in your household is awake and only sleeping 2 hours a day, it tends to weigh on you. And being a single parent, you cannot do it alone. I could not go to Delaware County or Marion County and move to those places and leave my support system behind. Do I know people that have done that? Yes. And I applaud them and I commend them. Because here's the funny thing. You can move from Morrow County to Delaware County or to Marion County, live there for a year, and you can get on a waiver through their wait list. And then you can come back to Morrow County, and that waiver's still there. So, knowing that, and as a parent who is struggling, I mean, it's disenchanting and it's downright discriminating, because knowing that, it's like, why can't I do this? And then you remember, I can't do this because I can't displace my entire family to be able to do that. If my child lives in Delaware or Columbus or Mansfield or Marion, knowing that those places can provide your child with help, and you can get that help, and then you can move back to Morrow County, and those services still be there, it makes no sense.
Taking what you just said,
how does it make you feel that you could do that? I mean, people have done that, obviously, for you to know that. And yet, where your support system is, the reason you don't want to leave, everything we've just shared is all within a county that continuously for 25 years votes this down.
It makes me sick to my stomach. There's honestly no other way around it.
25 years, that's a long time. I mean, some people will not pass school levies, for 5, 10 years, things like that. We've had that. But I know we passed school levies here. I know we've passed one within 25 years. That's a long, long time. When you have a child who you say has been disappearing, if this is passed, can those wheels be reversed, brought back to some degree?
In my particular situation with my daughter, the condition that she has is epilepsy. So she has epilepsy, which is causing a developmental delay. A lot of what we're going through right now with Savannah is rehabilitative work. I mean, everything, has to be fed, she has to be dressed, she has to be bathed. We're working really hard on getting some of those basic life skills back. She's to a point now where she can slowly start feeding herself, which is huge. She has extreme pica to where she eats everything. She has eaten the walls before. Just any little pieces of paper. I mean, it's an extreme safety hazard, her having that condition on top of the epilepsy. And she requires a lot of help and aid in getting her rehabilitated to the point to where she can come back. And so far, we've made extreme progress in getting some of those basic life skills back, but it's came because we now have help.
Before we wrap this up, I do want to let people know, because it's such an important issue. If people have any type of question, can they email, can they call, and if they can, where can they do that?
They can contact the county board if they have questions about what a waiver does, or any services that the county board provides. They can contact the county board. You can find me on Facebook. You can, I'm always a phone call away for other parents that have kids with developmental disabilities and need help.
Knowing what we know, we're taping this about 20 days away, maybe, give or take, from the election. What do you feel will happen? 25 years down, what's the feeling in the community? I don't live there. What do you think will happen?
I think that I hope that people will take the levy seriously and they'll pass it. But if they don't, and then they choose to vote no for the levy, I think things are going to get a lot worse, and you're going to have more people coming forward and sharing their stories. And then I'm sorry.
No, it can be rough. I mean, it can certainly be rough.
I'm just really tired of, it seems like every month I meet a new parent that their 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5-year-old is having issues, that their child may possibly be autistic, or their child may have ADHD, or their child's stuttering. How do I handle this? How do I handle questions about IEP meetings with the school district? It seems like every month I come across a new parent in our county because they hear by word of mouth that, this is Jessica, her daughter's disabled, here's how she handled it, please contact her. So it seems like every month I meet somebody new, and every month my heart breaks just a little bit more because the help isn't there. And eventually, everyone in our county is going to have a child or an older family member that deals with a developmental issue, or and it's eventually going to affect them. And when they need help and they need services, they're not going to be there.
Amanda, if that camera is the voter, quickly, what would you say to them about November 5th?
I would just encourage anybody to just open the eyes of their heart. These kids now are here. The kids that are coming, they're not going away. Children like my children, my child, children I know, that most importantly are getting older. I'm getting older. I can't live forever, and I'm living in a county where I'm going to leave behind a child. There's no hope, no help, no nothing.
Jesse, same question, same thing. 30 seconds, that's the voter over there. No, it's okay.
Say, please open your heart and open your eyes and know that your vote, yes, for the levy can heavily impact a person with developmental disabilities and a person that can't speak for themselves.
Okay, and bring me back on this camera over here because I do want to say this again. $3.15 per $100,000 home. That's not a whole lot. And considering what it could do after 25 years of a drought, I don't think anybody would have any doubt that this would be a very good thing. And if you see this on Facebook, internet, wherever you're watching this, it's Jessica Cowles. Find her on Facebook, Cowels. L-E-S, excuse me. I wrote that down wrong. And take a look into this. The numbers are on the internet. The phone numbers are there. The emails are there. And I thank you both for coming on and sharing your story. Not easy, but certainly a big thing coming up November the 5th. It is the Whetstone Levy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Spears,